Hey, welcome back. This is the Chapter 5 review for the OB 320 Exam 1 for the first test. One other thing that I just thought of, it might be good to clarify about the test is what's not going to be on it. The test is not going to say things like, um, we used Nike as an example of what, or the book mentioned Nike uses exchange rates. How did it do this? It'll say things. A good example of a question would be something like, a company. This is based on chapter 4. That if you just watch that, a company that makes, I don't know, Christmas tree stands has decided that it is cheaper to pay their employees if they base their company in Guam. Which of the location advantages is this? And then it would say A, wage rates, B, exchange rates, C, raw material, or D, all of the above. And the answer would be A. They're utilizing cheaper wages so they can gain a cost advantage. Okay, so chapter 4 was all cost advantage. It's all about how can you provide something for cheaper, so that you can either sell it for cheaper and get more customers, or you can sell it the same price, but you'll get more of a margin based on each product or from each product. Chapter 5 is also gaining an advantage through almost anything other than cost. It's through product differentiation. So it's not by saying how can we produce it for cheaper, but how can we make our product unique is the word they use. How can we make our product or service unique so that people will want to come to us? I'll give you the book definition real quick of product differentiation. A strategy whereby companies attempt to gain competitive advantage by offering value that is not available in other products or services, or that other products don't do as well. So if your company is trying to produce things for less or cheaper for customers, cost advantage. If your company is trying to come up with a better product or a different product, product differentiation. So the chapter starts out by listing the 4 methods that your company can come up with different products, or differentiate its products. So chapter 5 isn't laid out as nice and neat as chapter 4 is, so this might be a little harder to follow. But to start, there are 4 ways. Let's see, does it say sources? Okay, there are 4 ways a company can offer unique value. The first one is by offering different the first is by offering different product features. By the way, anytime I say product, I'm including services. You market products almost the same way that you do service. So when I say product, I'm not just talking about products. I'm also talking about services. And as we go along, you might be able to see how what we're learning applies to services as well. Anyway, so within different products or different product features, there are 3 sub methods of doing that. By offering a better product, by offering a product that does a better job. By offering a product that does more jobs. Or by offering one that does unique jobs. or a unique job. I'll get rid of the S. Okay, so the examples in the book are better than any examples I could come up with. All right. So the example that the book talks about for offering a product that does a better job, it talks about Walkmans or like CD players in whenever people started to walk around with portable music players. People could walk around carrying one CD, and that's what they could listen to in their player unless they popped it out, put the new one in. So you kind of have to carry a CD player and an album with all the CDs you might want to listen to. So it talks about iPod, or Apple specifically wanted to offer a better product. And in this case, better means you take one feature and make it better. So what they wanted to offer was a music player that was capable of holding a lot more than one CD. So the early iPods and the iPods now can hold a lot more than one album. So they took a feature of a product and they made it better. So that was how they came up with a different product, was making a feature better. For more jobs, I like the example it talks about digital cameras. They've had cameras for a long time. And so what makes digital cameras special are not that they take a better picture. They don't necessarily take better pictures. What they do though is you can take a picture and instantly see what you took a picture of, see if it's good or not. You can add effects to it, make it black and white. You can add filters to it. You can turn the flash on and off. So what makes a digital camera better isn't that it specifically, what makes a digital camera different is not that it does anything particularly better than like analog cameras, but it does more things. It gives you more features than just you can take a picture with this. And then a unique job. So it talks about things like going to Disneyland. You can't get like the experience at Disneyland anywhere else. You can't, like, you get to see Mickey Mouse, you get to Donald Duck will autograph your paper. You can't get that at any other amusement park or anywhere else. It's unique to the Disney parks. So that's how different product features allow you to differentiate your product. The next one is quality, yeah, or reliability. So in this case, quality or reliability refers to simply that it lasts longer. You could kind of make the argument that it does a better job, but when we're talking quality or reliability, we're talking specifically Dyson vacuum cleaners last longer. They may not be the most powerful vacuum, but they last for years and years, and that's what they market. Their slogan is, maybe it's not their slogan, they offer better sucking power, so it'll last for much longer than other vacuums, and that's their marketing point. That's what they do different. The next one is convenience. And this refers specifically to how people find and purchase your product. Again, you could try to make the argument that this is better, But in this case, it's not talking about the product itself. It's not that the product is convenient to use or easy to use. It's referring strictly to the fact that you can find it easily, you can purchase it easily, like a Coke. You could be anywhere, and you'll find a Coke product nearby. And then the last one is brand image. So, and actually I'll write this down now so you can see. Don't get brand image confused with prestige brands. Brand image is based on this. I suppose it was probably a study at some point, but that you trust things that you see more. For example, we see McDonald's commercials every day. And McDonald's doesn't advertise because they think there's people that haven't heard of McDonald's. Everybody knows McDonald's. The reason they advertise is because if you continually see McDonald's, then when you're hungry, you trust McDonald's. You've seen it before. You're familiar with it. So brand image operates on something called the familiarity principle, that things that you're familiar with, you trust more. Prestige brands are a little different. Prestige brands operates on the principle that when you see somebody with a Ferrari, that product has certain implications, or maybe not certain implications, but it's associated with certain qualities. So when you see, and actually I guess it works the other way as well. When you see somebody pull up in a Toyota, like an old Toyota, that product has certain qualities. Maybe they're eco-friendly, or that they are monetarily conscious. Prestige brands are, you see it and has certain qualities associated with it. Brand image is familiarity. Prestige brands is certain quality associated with things. Okay, I'll take a short break there and then we'll get back and do the rest of the chapter. Okay, now that we've figured out what you can do different with your product to differentiate it, we'll talk about the rest of the chapter. Well, almost the rest talks about how you figure out what you want, how you figure out which things you want to do differently. So it says sources of product differentiation. So it has two different methods, or two different sources for sources of product differentiation. The first one is customer, that is not an S. Okay, customer segmentation. If you're not familiar with what segmentation is, it's taking like a whole and dividing it into different parts. I'm trying to think of something really simple. If you were in a class and the teacher, your professor asked everybody who was under 18 to raise their hands, and then everybody who was 19 and 20 to raise their hands, you would segment your class into these different groups. So customer segmentation is just that, taking customers and segmenting them into different groups. So the first way you can segment your customers is based on product attributes. So in doing this, you would segment your customers based on what they want in a product. So if you're a car company and you're marketing cars, you would have the segment of your customers that care most about fuel consumption, a segment that cares about how cool it looks, a segment that cares about how fast it goes. So you segment your customers into these different groups and then figure out what each one wants more, and then you'd be able to differentiate your product based on that. The second one, differentiate your customer based on demographics. So this is exactly what it sounds like. This is different or segmenting your customers based on age. The age example I gave is one. It talks about age, socioeconomic status, education, profession. So if you were marketing something, you like cars, we'll stick with cars. You could segment your customers into age, and you determine that people under 18 want their car to be faster. People our age in college wanted to have good fuel consumption, so we don't have to fill up so often. So you could also do, for fear of being called racist, I'm not going to talk about ethnicity, segmenting based on ethnicity, but you could certainly do that. And then the last one is job to be done. So this is segmenting not based on the product or what customers want in the product or how the customers are, I guess. It's segmenting based on what the customers want the product to accomplish for them. So this is a principle by Clayton Christensen, who's a famous businessman. I'm pretty sure he's Mormon. I was going to say he's Mormon, but I didn't want to be wrong, so I didn't mention that. I'm pretty sure he's Mormon. Sorry, let me write this first. Okay, so each product or service that people purchase, he says has a functional, a social, and an emotional. I guess functional or social or emotional, and or they could have multiple ones, or they could just have one of them. So people who purchase, if we stick with our car example, people who purchase a car for a functional purpose, people who want the good gas mileage, they want it to fit in their parking spot. These are the kind of people who purchase it for functional purposes. People who buy it for social, maybe they want to buy a car that looks cool or that people know it is expensive so that they can have the social benefits of their of the product. And then emotional, I don't know if you get emotionally attached to a car or something, or I don't know. You can kind of see the difference between the three without me thinking of a good example for emotional. So you could segment your customers based on customers who want the product to have functional purpose, customers that want social purposes, social benefits, and then emotional. So this is customer segmentation. The other segmentation, or sorry, not the other segmentation. Okay, so let me say, you could look throughout here and find segment your customers and figure out something to do with your product, whether you, like we had shown before, doing something different, doing something better, doing something with more jobs. You could segment your customers and figure out what they want. The other way to figure out how to differentiate your product is mapping the consumption chain. And that's exactly what it sounds like. You start with from how people hear about your product all the way to when they stop using it and dispose of it, and you find something you can improve along the way. So I guess I can write down real quick the book spends a few pages going through each step, so I'll write those down real quick. So this is how do your customers become aware of it, whether it's through TV or radio or billboards, and then maybe you could find a better way to advertise your product. How do people find it? So do you have it just sitting in the store and people have to walk up to it, or do you have I don't know, maybe you're Starbucks and you're in every town. You're a very easy store to find. How do people select your product? How do people determine that your product is the best? Do you like if you're ever buying an Apple product, they always have a product sitting next to another product, and then they'll have a little comparison about what's different, what's better, so you can compare really easily when you're selecting. How do customers purchase your product? So that could be, we talked in chapter 4 about how Amazon decided they were going to start selling their books online so that it would be easier for customers to purchase. Deliver. How do customers get the product? If you buy a refrigerator, are you going to have to bring your own car to the store and load it up yourself, or maybe you were the first person that decided that you could deliver the product? That could be a source of differentiation. I'm going to continue this up here because I ran out of room up on the bottom. How do customers store your product? I can't really think of a good example for this one. Let me see what the book says. Oh, okay. So it talks about people were buying workout machines, and then they just have a big, huge weight machine sitting in their basement. So companies like Bowflex capitalized on that. They made it really easy to just store your machine. You just fold up the chair and strap all the weight bar things together. So it was much easier to store. That was their source of differentiation. How do customers receive assistance if they have a problem with their laptop? Are they going to call customer support, or are you going to send somebody out that'll help them? How do customers return it if they don't like your product? Can they mail it back? Do they have to bring it back? Well, maybe someone will come out and pick it up for them. And then the last one, how do customers dispose of your product when they're done using it? This talks about how RC Willey offers to haul away your old mattress if you purchase a new one. So at any point along here, you can find a way to improve on a product. A lot of companies have just picked something and improved on it. And that has allowed them to make their product different or their service different. Um, that's really all there is to mapping the consumption chain. Find a point along here that can be improved and improve it, and that'll be the source of differentiation for your next product. And then the last thing that the chapter talks about is how to tell if your product is differentiating well. And this is a study you did on the Net Promoter Score. So this is like, if you think about net income, it's kind of the same thing that you take the gross and subtract this would be expenses. But in this case, you take the gross supporters and you subtract away the people that don't support it, or the non-supporters. So the people that support your product are the people who, on a scale of 1 to 10, rated your product a 9 or a 10. And then 7 and 8 are the passives, and then 1 through 6 is that's a 16. 1 through 6 are the people that detract from your product. So if you had 6 people you interviewed or surveyed, we'll say 10 people, you asked, 6 of them said they highly recommend your product. 6 of them gave it a 9 or 10. And then 3 of them said they hate your product. They gave it a 1. Then your Net Promoter Score would be 3. I guess you put in a percentage. So you would actually say 60% minus 30%. And your Net Promoter Score would be 30%. That's it for chapter 5. Again, if I made any mistakes, if I said something wrong, if I misspoke, if I skipped something, please send me an email. Even if Sarah is your TA, you can send me an email so I can correct it and get that corrected for the whole class. If you have any other questions, please email us. We'd love to help. Good luck with your test. Yeah, we'll see you around.